data consciousness of any kind whatsoever is the ultimate source of justification for all rational statements. It has this right-conferring function only because, and insofar as, its object-giving is primordial. This world is not there for me as a mere world. Okay. Let's do an example. Phenomenology is all about focusing on what you experience. So check this out. So just go for a little walk around me, and you at home, keep your eyes on the couch, okay? Now then, what did you just experience? Did you, at any point, see the entire couch? No, you didn't. You can only ever see one side of it at a time. And yet, in your mind's eye, you weren't going, there is one side of a couch, there is another side of a couch. In your mind's eye, you experience it as one complete thing. And more than that, you experience it as being for something. It's a couch for sitting on. It looks comfy or ugly or whatever. Maybe it reminds you of a similar couch that you've seen. Maybe you'd like a couch like this one. Maybe you'd like to do something on a couch like this one. So your experience of it brings in bits of the past and bits of the future and desires and values. This is a very different way of looking at the world than a scientist or a computer might. Peterson actually gives a great example. Imagine you get an envelope with some important news in it. Scientifically, objectively, the envelope is a rectangle of paper and it has ink molecules printed on it, but that's not how you experience it. This envelope contains your past, your future, your test results, maybe the rest of your life. You experience it not just as an object, but as something with values and meaning. I can see that you're still a little bit shaky on this. It is a bit weird, so let's do something really cool and apply it to people. In fact, let's apply it to me. For those who didn't realize already, I am a transgender woman, and when I first started transitioning, I would go out into the world dressed how I like to be dressed, and some people would see me and they would think, well, that's a man, but by the way that they are dressed and their mannerisms, they are indicating to me that they would like to be treated as a woman. And if they were very polite, they would go, "Hello, miss. How can I help you?" And if they were very rude, they'd say something else. But after a while, something interesting started to happen. People didn't have that initial experience and then have to think about it. They just started recognizing me as a woman. Something in their brains, or maybe in me, flipped. And they just started going, "Hello, miss. How can I help you?" This is similar to, but not the same thing as, passing. Passing is when a cis person doesn't realize that you're trans. I'm not talking about that. Because I have trans friends who I know are trans. They don't pass to me. And yet, I just experience them as the gender they are. If you've never known a trans person, it might be hard to get your head around, but I have an old friend who's a trans woman, and a while ago she asked me, "Have I ever done anything in front of you that you thought made me look like a man?" And I said, "No, you kind of can't, because my brain has flipped now. If you do something stereotypically masculine, like burp or fart or scratch your ass, I don't see that as, oh, there's a man. I experience it as a woman doing something stereotypically masculine, and therefore it's funny to me." Husserl talked about immediate seeing, Edith Stein talked about an experience being primordially given, but the bottom line is, I just experience you as female. And this opens up all sorts of questions like, do people recognize me as a woman because I am one, or did I become one when they started recognizing me as such? Is gender something in you, or is it a relation between you and other people? If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, what are its pronouns? Answers on a postcard, please. The bottom line for us and Peterson is, we experience the world not as a collection of facts and observations, but a collection of values and meanings. We are always, in Peterson's language, telling ourselves a story. And if you're very clever, you'll already have spotted, oh, that's why he does all the self-help stuff. Peterson's always talking about being mindful of what you pay attention to, what story are you telling yourself, and phenomenology is a great base on which to build that, because in theory, if you change the story you tell yourself, change the meanings you see in the world, then you can change the world. This week is the 1-month anniversary of the Lewisham arson attack. 1 month since an unknown arsonist savagely took the lives of 5 people and a homeless man. And now another building has burned down in Hackney. It's terrifying. And almost as bad as the fires themselves is the anti-fire hysteria that has been conjured up in the minds of the woke left cancel mob. I think wokeness has gone absolutely mad in this country. My brother is a smoker. He's always coming home smelling of smoke. And he has to stand outside to smoke a cigarette because you can't even smoke indoors anymore. It's anti-fire wokeness gone mad. And I'm not a bigot. I'm not. My niece is a transgender. And I think that that is fine. She's in the fire department, and with this ongoing arson crisis, we have to support our emergency services heroes more than ever. Personally, I think her decision to join the fire department might have had something to do with her marriage falling apart, but I support her right to choose. Or his right to choose. It's so confusing. Biologically, he is still a she, because she can still get pregnant. And objectively, that's been the job of women since Victorian times. So I sent her a message for International Women's Day, and she gave me this big lecture. And I said, darling, if you're really a man, then what you're doing is mansplaining. She said I shouldn't even speak to my brother. She said he's the arsonist because he's always smelling of smoke and he's always going into people's houses with large barrels of petrol. And I said, darling, that's cancel culture. He's a traveling petrol salesman. Of course he's going into people's houses. What kind of a world are we living in where a hard-working, upstanding, handsome man gets accused of something nefarious just because he is always going into people's houses with large barrels of flammable liquid during an ongoing arson crisis? Okay, we understand the bones of Jordan Peterson. We experience the world not as a collection of facts, but a collection of values and meanings. Now let's build out to the muscles of Jordan Peterson and talk about structuralism. Structuralism is famously very simple. To understand it, let's read a passage from philosopher Roland Barthes. A signified can have several signifiers. This is indeed the case in linguistics and psychoanalysis. It is also the case in the mythical concepts. It has at its disposal an unlimited mass of signifiers. I can find 1,000. Okay, well, I'll give you the easy version. Structuralism started out looking at texts and saying, hey, don't these seem to fit into patterns? Like Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces. Supposedly there are these proto-myths that keep coming up in our stories again and again. Peterson's always talking about this stuff. He's always analysing Disney or Harry Potter and saying, oh hey, you know, this symbol is actually a very old thing from ancient whatever, and if you learn these maps of meaning that structure your experience, then you can start taking control of your life. In order to understand the meaning of the text, we have to look at other texts. By the way, text here can mean a literal text like a book, but it can also be a play, a film, a comic, this video, an interpretive dance, basically anything that can carry meaning. So then the structuralists were like, well, what if, as well as looking at the other texts, we also looked at the broader ideas that are hanging around in the culture? Like, for instance, there's this bit in the Bible where Jesus says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God what is God's. And if we want to understand the meaning of that, then we should probably read the rest of the Bible, yeah. But also, what was the Roman occupation of Judea like? What did Caesar really mean to those people back then? Could be good to know. Let's take another example. There are some recent adverts on the London Underground